going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a WTA Executive Committee meeting for June 9th. We have a good agenda, but I think not too full. The first is discussion of approval of fare rates and rule revisions. We've talked about this a number of times before. Ms. Coleman, do you want to begin, or should we have any comments from Les first?
You can go directly to Tammy.
Good morning, everyone. As we've spoken about this before, this is we would like to ask that the executive committee recommend to the board of directors to approve changes to the fare rates and rules. Most of the changes are fairly minor in that we want to make some wording changes, recognizing that our fare collection system has changed in name from TouchPass to UMO. We want to include the change the upper range of our youth ride-free age to 18 to go along with the Move Ahead Washington legislation, which provides transit support grants. And we're making some wording changes and some simplifications to the van pool program. Yeah, sorry, just my brain just stopped there. We're just simplifying and consolidating the van pool program, and the fiscal impact for most of the changes is fairly minor, particularly the youth ride free will have an impact on have a fiscal impact from Whatcom and Western for the student fare programs, because there are a lot of 18-year-old freshmen. However, we are eligible for about $2.8 million in grants because of meeting the criteria of a youth ride free under 18.
Okay.
So to get this on the floor, I'll move it to approval to the full board.
Second.
Thank you, Ali. Okay, we have a motion before us. Again, we've heard about various aspects of this several times before. Is there any need to discuss this at this point? Any comments? Or Todd, go ahead.
So the memo says it's just a few $100s is the net impact, but are we actually getting, are we like offsetting $2.8 million of fare changes and getting this grant money, or is that, how's it net out to just a few $100s?
The difference that it's going to make probably for Western might be at most $1,000 a quarter, somewhere in there. It's not a huge amount. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a revenue hit, but definitely not enough to offset 2.8 million.
Is the 2.8 million like way beyond what we're losing in terms of fares?
Yes, significantly.
And I think some of those freshmen at Western are living on campus, and so they're not as high demand riders as upperclassmen that live off.
Our entire contract with Western doesn't even come close to $1 million a year. It's on a good year in 2019, which was the last full year that we had. It was just about $1 million. It was 990 for all of the contract with Western. So.
I got one question. Our goal is still 15% of fares of our budget. We're probably not getting nowhere closer to that. Is that correct? Even, I mean, we're probably moving farther from it as opposed to getting closer to it.
At this point, we definitely are, because ridership is so low that, and we're collecting so little in fares really that it's pretty hard to tell. And we haven't had a full year of fare collection yet. So July 1st, we'll have one full year of data. So then we'll have kind of an idea, but ridership is so strange right now that it's hard to tell what's actually happening.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'm going to use a procedure I've been using last year or two, which is if there are no objections, I'll consider all motions passed unanimously. Is there any objection to the motion to recommend approval to the full board next week? Hearing no objections, that's passed unanimously. Thanks very much, folks. The next item is discussion of modification number 1 to the Skagit Transit WTA County Connector Program Interlocal Agreement. Tammy, this is you again.
It is. We've had an agreement with Skagit Transit since 2015 to operate the Route 80X cooperatively. And in the last year, we've worked really hard to create a regional transportation system. We have a shared fare collection system, and we've been working really hard to align all of our passes and the criterion. And one of the things that Skagit has been gracious enough to allow us to allow Whatcom Community College students to ride on the ADX using their IDs as a flash pass. We get paid from Whatcom per student. And so far Skagit's just graciously allowed us to do that, but they would like to stop doing that. They'd like us to, we've come to an agreement that we would pay Skagit 50 cents a ride for Whatcom Community College students. And that is half of this reduced fare rate on the ADX. So it's a really good deal for us, and it seems like a fair agreement. The other part of this this modification is that they are also going to be implementing Youth Ride Free on the ADX, and they're a little bit behind us, and I want to apologize in advance because we may need to have a slight caveat to this. Their board has not settled on the same criterion for Youth Ride Free as we have. We have high school aged and above. Skagit's not sure yet if they're going to do high school aged and above or 15 and older. So once they kind of come to an agreement about that, we'll talk to them again and make sure that we're aligned. Right now, they're leaning towards following us. And if that happens, then we won't need to make any changes at all. So that just to let you know that's out there. Sorry about that. The fiscal impact of the Youth Riding Free on the ADX, even though we've had Youth Ride Free in Whatcom County, they have had to buy a pass for the ADX still, and that will change when Skagit is doing Youth Ride Free too. And the fiscal impact is not going to be too great. There will still be some students that college students that are moving back and forth that will need to buy a pass, but the total sales in 2019, which again was our last full year of sales, we only sold 85 student passes for the ADX. So it's not a huge fiscal impact at all. That was about $2,000 total. So that's basically what we are talking about there. Do you have any questions?
Looks like there are no questions. Is there a motion?
I'll move, we move it to the full board.
I'll second.
Okay. Got Nally doing all the work this morning. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. If there are no objections to the motion, we'll consider it passed unanimously to recommend approval to the full board. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that passes unanimously as well. Thank you very much. The third item is discussion of a contract for fixed route bus air conditioning retrofit from Complete Coach Works. Les, do you want to begin, or should we go straight to Mike or Megan?
I think we can go straight to Mike.
Yes, good morning. So staff is requesting the executive committee recommend the board of directors approve a contract with Complete Coach Work for $474,000 to retrofit 8 fixed route coaches with air conditioning. Also to authorize the general manager to execute potential change orders for up to $150,000 without coming back to the board. The reason we're asking for that additional is looking to the next year or two, we may need more buses with air conditioning in the summer as we expand service. Right now, 8 will do it, but we want to be prepared. So staff issued a request for proposals earlier this year. We received one response from Complete Coach Work. We staff did our due diligence to make sure we were getting a good price. And in our research, we feel that's an adequate review of it, and we agreed to the price. We did some negotiations and were able to save a couple of $1,000. And we will start the work once the work is the contract's approved, and should have those 8 ready for service next summer. We've included the budget in the 2022 capital budget and have sufficient funds. Any questions?
I'll go ahead.
So the 2009 models, if we put air conditioning in those, how much longer will those be in service?
Well, we are not going to put air conditioning in those. We reviewed it. When we first issued the request for proposal, we included those. But after reviewing the length of time we're going to keep those, we excluded that. We actually went out initially looking for 18 buses. We took the 09s out and reduced the scope. So right now we're looking at the 2010s and 2012s only.
Just to clarify the numbers, we already have 8 buses there conditioning and we'll be getting 8 more.
No, excuse me.
No,
We have
sorry.
20. We have 27 with air conditioning right now.
And then we'll be adding 8 more.
We'll be adding 8 more, and the buses we'll receive later this year. We'll add an additional 7.
So can you just cover like the 42 for launch in the summer?
Yeah. Yeah, right now we request 42. Summer is our daily launch, so we're trying to make sure we have 42 for next summer, and look at planning if they are expanding service in the summer. So we may add some more buses as needed.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that to me.
Yeah.
Todd, go ahead.
So how long will the 2010 buses then be in service once you do that?
For 3 years. We're refurbishing those this year to extend their life for 3 years. So 4 of those will be included in this project, and then 4 of the 2012s that we are extending their
So
service.
what's the life of the air conditioning unit, and can it be moved to another coach later?
No, it's not economical to do that because of the price. It's much more economical to include new units from the manufacturer that will include, the warranty and all that. So,
And all our new buses have air conditioning.
since 2016, we've included air conditioning in all our buses.
So we're looking for a motion with regard to this contract, budgeted capital expense for just over $400,000.
Move to recommend to the full board.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion before us. Is there further discussion?
Would this be acceptable to put on the consent agenda? I know it's a
It's
capital.
over 400,000. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
budgeted, but it's large.
I agree.
Let's just put it on the main agenda if
Very
there's
good.
no concern. Okay,
Thank
are there
you.
no objections to the motion to put this on the main agenda, the full board, of the recommendation of approval? Hearing no objections, the motion is considered passed unanimously. Thank you again, everyone. The next one is discussion of the setting of a public hearing on the transportation development plan. Again, this is not actual approval of the plan. This is just setting the hearing. Ms. Anderson, is there more to say on this matter?
Well, I guess only if people want background on the TDP. If not, yes, we're requesting that you move to the full board to set the hearing. And I also just want to let you know the plan is not ready yet to review. It's a 2-week review period for the public. So we're just asking you to set the public hearing, and then the plan will be ready for you and the public to view beginning July 1st of this year.
And the TDP is prepared annually. This is a routine thing that we must do every year.
Correct. Yes, it's required by Washington state law to for us all transit agencies to submit it to WashDOT.
So I assume the plan really won't have any new information in there. It's information we probably already have in other forms and other documents.
Correct. It's kind of summarizes accomplishments from the past year, documents agency goals for the next 5 years, identifies resources, and provides a financial forecast.
Board members, is there a motion about the hearing?
So moved.
I'll second.
The motion before us is to indeed set a hearing on the transportation development plan for the July 21st meeting. Is there any further discussion? Okay, if there are no objections, we'll consider the motion passed unanimously. Does this need to go for the full board? And if so, can we put it on the consent agenda? Okay, so we'll consider it for a recommended approval and put on the consent agenda. If there are no objections, it's considered passed. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the gavel is down. Okay, that's passed unanimously very much. By the way, we're gonna pay for this brief meeting with a longer meeting soon. The final item, two items here, well, two items. One is discussion approval of the routine expenditures for the month of April. Is there a motion?
Move to recommend to the full board approval.
I'll second on consent.
And thank you very much, Kelly. That's what I was going to ask. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, routine expenditures will go forward with approval on the consent agenda. The next item is overview of the Transportation Improvement Program, otherwise known as the TIP. Les, do you want to say anything, or we should go straight to Aaron?
I think we go straight to Aaron. You have seen most of this information before through the CIP and things. So this is just the step to move it on to COG to put on the state. So Aaron, over to you, please.
Yep, thank you. Good morning. Yes, so this item is actually just information only for today, as we are holding our public hearing at the board meeting next week. So just wanted to give the executive committee a chance to review, but as Les alluded to, hopefully there are no surprises here, as we have had some good discussions about the CIP over the last couple weeks. I will just highlight that the only electric bus item on here so far is the one that we're discussing for this year. We can amend this tip at any point in the future once further discussions have happened about our timing and plans for future electric bus purchases. But just wanted to highlight that. Otherwise, it is just literally a copy and paste from the CIP that we've looked at the last few meetings.
Okay, Aaron, thank you. Hey, I started kind of a little bit quick. I didn't have a chance to acknowledge the fact that we have an interim board member, Mr. Skip Williams, is joining us. I hope many of you know him, and if you don't, you'll get to know him. He'll be a great addition while he's here. Thank you, Skip. So just FYI for you, we have a capital improvement program and a transportation improvement program, and they're almost the exact same document. There's some legal differences about what goes on each, but they're really very similar documents.
Yeah, well, okay. I'll be meeting with Professor Reardon's tomorrow anyway, and I'm sure he's gonna brief me on all of these things. So I'm really looking forward to serving with you in this temporary capacity and getting to know you and know how the Transit Authority works. So thanks for welcoming me, and here's to a couple of months of good working relationships.
Thank you, Skip.
Hey, Michael, on that, who does he replace and who does he represent?
Oh, right. He is substituting for Holly Huffman, who's on extended excused leave from the Bellingham City Council, all for very good reasons. And so it will be for about 2 months, I believe, unless there's a reason to extend it. Oh, did we do the proper board action to officially anoint Mr. Williams? I think that has to be anointed, recommend, the board has to approve that, don't we? Did we miss a step?
You make
Actually,
it sound like
that's-
a hazing.
Yeah.
That is allowed in our bylaws for an alternate to be appointed by the other council, by the city council.
Right, but I'm wondering if the board has to accept that interim appointment.
That's not prescribed as required in our bylaws, but if you'd like to ask for a motion, we certainly could.
Yeah, so this current
Have we
item.
disposed of the tip yet?
Yeah, there's no action required on.
Okay, I had
on
a
the
question.
Karen. If that's the case, I'm going to go ahead and conclude that agenda item.
I had a question about the tip thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Todd.
Sorry. So there's 2 8-bus purchases. Are those 2 separate purchases, or is it like the budget document where we had the potential for the electric purchase listed side by side with the diesel purchase?
Yep, that's exactly correct. So the diesel purchase is listed because it is secured with 5307 funds, but then the electric purchase for the second line is planned if we get the competitive grant that we've applied for. So yes, same buses.
Thanks. Sorry to interrupt there, Michael.
No, that's good. Ally, go ahead.
Do we have any update on how we're doing with working out all the bugs on the electric buses? Because that is on my mind all the time.
Maybe I can answer that. We are still working on them. But they are in service. We have a technician. One of them is in the shop today because we have a technician here doing some updates to the software and looking at a couple of things. But we've been working on them, getting them out in service. So they are getting better. We have solved some issues and working with Gillig, with ChargePoint, and with Cummings. So they're the three main suppliers of the bus equipment. We also received our chargers, our permanent chargers this week. And we're looking at, contracting out very soon to install 4 of them here at Moab and 1 at Cordata. So we're working and getting these out there. And in fact, we're going to meet with Gillig later this month to review the detail equipment on the next 2 that will be built in January. So we're working hard to get these out and get them.
I know you are. I know you are. And remind me what we're hoping, how far we're hoping they go on a charge and where we're at right now.
Right now we're getting 150 miles easily out of them. So the key is the winter. And we've put diesel heaters on these first 2 to make sure that we can extend the range in the winter, and it is working. So yeah, we're getting.
I guess I'm kind of wondering what the benefit is if we're making them hybrid anyway.
Well, in the future, we will not need the diesel heater.
Okay.
That's just the interim, get these buses in here, get these bugs worked out, working with Gillig. Again, these were 2 of the first 50 they produced. So we're working with them to get a bus that will, bring electric buses full-time into transit. So
great.
It's an interim.
I appreciate it. Sometimes I just have to ask all the questions that Scott's thinking just for fun.
Yeah, and they're not on all the time, but they're only used when needed. So it's not as if they're always, using diesel.
And as Mike was saying, that's as the technology improves, that this is not going to be needed anymore. And I think that was the brilliant thing that the WTA did before I arrived, so I can take no credit for it, but bringing in the 2 and testing them and seeing how it works and what we need and feedback and so forth. So as we move forward, we've got those bugs ironed out into the future. So
you mean we won't need the diesel heaters in the new ones?
The 2 in January will still have it. In the future, the battery technology is going to increase sometime next year. We can't wait because of the grant requirements to delay the 2 in January, but battery technology will increase the capacity, so we won't need them in the future.
I also just want to acknowledge that these are easy questions for us to ask and push back on. And I know that this is something that is constantly on your mind and you've put a ton of work into. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. If anybody wants to come down and come into the shop and see what we're doing, you're more than welcome.
Allie, they're excellent questions. Thanks for asking them. I actually have a follow-up on that. Is Gillig also working with the owners of the other 48 buses out of the first 50? Are we alone in this?
No. Portland received 6 of them, and so the technician that's helping us on site is going back and forth between us and them, working on issues. And we're talking to other agencies. Yesterday, I was on a call with San Francisco Muni on their equipment there, and working with them with Gillig and ChargePoint. So it's industry wide.
And I know, Mike, you've been working with King County Metro as well.
Yeah.
It's been very helpful.
So I guess related kind of to the heat question in the winter with how about a hot summer day with air conditioning? How will that affect mileage?
It's not as much as the heat. Since we had the buses in service last summer, it adds about 0.2 kilowatts per mile, if that means much. Without the AC, we're getting 1.7 kilowatts overall, 1.8. So it's still doable.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. So this was no action for this particular item. Is there any further discussion on the CIP? Okay, hearing none, I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion that the WTA Board of Directors endorse the interim appointment of Skip Williams in accordance with WTA's bylaws.
As chair, you can't make a motion, but I'll support your motion.
Well, under Robert's Rules of Orders for small boards, actually the chairman can.
All right.
Is there any objection to the maker of the motion and the second? Hearing no objection, the slightly iffy motion is on the table. Is there any discussion? I'm going to go ahead and call for a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Are there any objections? Signify. No objections. Mr. Williams, did you abstain? Or vote? You can do both. Either. Or did Skip just freeze?
I don't have a vote yet.
Okay, so,
I don't have a vote yet.
okay, fine. So a motion is passed. You now have a vote. Thanks. I just thought it was better to do that so that it's also in the board meeting.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, I think that was the last.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, all I want to say is, Michael, thank you for your iffy motion of approval. I'm just kidding. Thanks,
all look
thanks
good in
everybody, and I'll be looking forward to working with you all. So,
Mr. Chair, did you want that on for the full board next week?
Oh, gosh, I guess so. Let's not embarrass Skip anymore. Is there any objection putting that on the consent agenda? Let's go ahead and put that endorsement on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's the last agenda item.
It's just one thing so we don't lose track of putting on for the full board is to talk about whether this board wants to move to a 2 full board per year or per month as opposed to executive committee structure and then full board that we talked about last month. I was looking at putting that on to the full board and then if the full board agrees with that, then we'll come back with revisions to the bylaws.
Have you spoken to the mayor and the county executive?
I've spoken to the county exec, but not the mayor yet. I need to still do that.
I think
Okay.
it's a good idea. I think we should do it.
Yeah. So if there's no objection, Mr. Reardon's going to bring that forward for a possible motion at our next meeting.
Yeah, I just didn't want this group to think that we'd forgotten about that.
Thank you.
Yep, that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Okay, is there no further business? Again, at our next meeting, we'll have a regular board meeting followed by, what is it going to be, a separate meeting or just an extended part of the same agenda?
Just an extended part of the same agenda.
Okay,
So we'll do this on the first half plus a closed session on bargaining. And then when we wrap this up, then we'll move into the discussion on the transformational executable transformational vision for the board.
and we're expecting up to 2 hours at that meeting next week
For the full, yes.
for
Yes.
for all aspects.
Yes.
Okay, is there any further business for the WTA Executive Committee? Seeing none, thank you everyone very much. This meeting is adjourned. See you all in a week.